Welcome to Fearless and Focused. I'm Brooke.
And I'm Casey.
And we're here to share bold stories, real talk,
and strategies to help you push past fear and level up.
Let's get fearless and focused. Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited that we are gearing up for another episode in our Business Owners series, How to Gear Up for 2026 so that you can crush your year. And obviously, hiring is a big part of that, your employees. So we have an amazing guest today, Jenny Giannone, kind of like baloney, but it's Giannone. That's how you tell me.
It's up close. Giannone. You're not putting this. Brooke, you're killing me. Killing me, Brooke.
Oh. Well, Jenny is amazing. Jenny's actually been my recruiter for several years now. And so we're super excited to have her on the show today. She's going to tell us about, anyone that hasn't used a recruiter in the past. If you're trying to hire on your own and you feel exhausted and you don't have the time and you're looking for a better way, Jenny is going to talk to you about how that better way can be with a recruiter and kind of what she does, best practices, things you should know, and what it's like to work with a recruiter. So we're super excited to have you on the show today, Jenny.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So let's kick this off with a rapid fire. Are you ready, Jenny?
Sure.
Nope. All right. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
I feel a little bit of both. It depends on how I feel.
Yes. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
If you weren't in recruiting, what do you think you'd be doing?
If what's the question again? If I wasn't recruiting?
Yeah. If you weren't in recruiting, what do you think you'd be doing?
I'd be somehow involved in my community.
Very nice. What is your favorite productivity hack or daily ritual?
Productivity hack? I have lists that have lists. I am such an extreme note taker, so that my cheat sheets help me get through the day. No one would understand them, but I do. I think that's probably my hack.
Very nice. Very nice. What's your go-to hype song before a big meeting or presentation?
I don't. So that's an interesting topic, and a topic probably that I should have investigated to learn about myself. But music does not inspire me.
Okay.
It really doesn't. And the way that it does other people, it doesn't. So before a big presentation, I would get along. If I'm being honest, I would be in prayer before I would listen to a song.
Okay. Right. Praying like all goes well, right?
Well, like I'm doing right now.
Okay, one more. You almost got it. What's one thing that people would be surprised to learn about you?
That as social as I am, I'm an extreme introvert.
Very good.
I like to feel, if I'm good on my own, I like the alone time. If I don't have it, I die a slow death. So as much as I enjoy people and I'm extroverted in nature, I am actually being defined as an introvert.
Wow, very good, very good. Well, let's kick off. Just tell us a little bit more about you, so our listeners can get to know you a little bit more, and then we're going to dive into all of the amazing hacks that you have on hiring.
Right, my career.
Anything about you?
Okay.
Yeah. A little bit about you, yeah. Or how you got into doing this, whatever.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, I've always lived in New York. I still live in upstate New York. The bulk of my career has been in some type of staffing. So I worked for many years for a company that provided contract labor to major automotive test engineering firms, test engineering facilities like Delphi, Boat Motor, Aptiv. And I loved that job, and I did really good. Me connecting with decision makers and helping to staff their team with test technicians and test engineers. At some point, I decided to make a transition and try something differently. I found myself in the recruiting world, in specifically with insurance, and I've been doing it for the last 3 years as a full-blown dedicated recruiter, and I've loved it.
I love it. Yes. Jenny's my recruiter. I said that earlier. I love her.
It's mutual.
and I started doing this with you a couple years ago, especially, remote work really took off after COVID. I always consider myself, I was remote before remote was cool because I had an employee who worked in the agency and then she was moving to lower Arkansas. And like, it was a very small town. There's like no jobs down there. And she was just concerned, moving away and not having a job. She's like, what am I going to do? I'm like, you're going to take your computer and you're going to still work for me. That's what's going to happen. Right. And so we just had to figure it out. Right. But as far as, you know, now, like, I feel people have really gotten into the idea of, okay, I can really expand my talent pool and it doesn't have to be right here in this small town if I can't find someone to come into my agency or my business period and come into work. You can have remote people from all over. So for someone like brand new to, remote, just kind of thinking like maybe this is something I could do and working with a recruiter to do that, because I would definitely highly recommend working with a recruiter for remote, especially when you've never done it before, you don't know what you're doing. But can you kind of walk us through like what that process looks at like from the time that, someone reaches out to you and says, I think I want to work with you. Tell me what that looks like.
Sure. Yeah, first of all, it's not just the decision to hire a boat. You definitely want to make sure you've got processes in place to maintain that quality relationship with your new person on your new team that's now working, you know, their own home office, right? Once and we've got coaching for that to help along those lines. But once you're confident that you want to get into the recruit or the space to hire a boat, you can hire someone like Insurance New York Services. And what we do is we will go to market in your behalf, but that's not until we get to know you. The very first step is to connect with you over Zoom. A good 1 hour we set aside so that we can meet you. What do you offer at base? What do you offer at commission? What is your team culture like to get there? What are your additionally, I like to investigate what are your skill sets? What do you as an agency bringing to the table? An example of that would be, are you expert at coaching? Coaching and developing someone that's got maybe under a year experience, but they're coachable, they've got the right stuff. Do you have good coaching in place to really increase their A game? It's things like that that I'm discovering about you. Or are you brand new? You need somebody a little more tenured. You feel like they can, hit the ground running without much coaching. So we're looking into that. We're investigating all of those things, including benefits, hours of operations. What states can you hire from? What do you offer, and what are the teasers? What are some accolades that you've accomplished in the last few years? Because when I go to market for you, I'm looking at dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of resumes on a daily basis. I want to make sure that the person that I consider as a candidate for the agency is worth interviewing. And I get to know them over pre-screen. I'm discerning then, what do you want? What are you looking for in your next role? Why is your current agency not quite cutting it for you? What's that gap? What's the dominating buying motive for you, candidate? I'm asking the talent pool this. And when I feel that there's a good connection, a good match, and the agency needs to beat that, I'm actually getting through a pre-screen, taking my notes, setting up a Zoom. I'll record a Zoom interview that handles quite a few things that you're looking for, including reasons why they're leaving, how much have they been writing and at what states, and what are they looking for, objection and that kind of thing. Then I send a Zoom and the interview over to this agency, and my notes, why I think they're a good fit. They get the resume, the contact information, everything you need to discern if you want to offer a final interview and make a hire. That's really pretty much the high level look at what we do.
That's so good. And I love that you start with interviewing the agent first and spending like a whole hour on like, who are you? Like, what's your culture? Like, I think that that's like so important and probably what, makes you so successful. So, talk to us a little bit about the timeline. Like, what's the timeline from, you meeting with the agent, going out to market for them, interviewing candidates? What does that kind of look like?
I don't, it could be anywhere from immediate because we're constantly looking at talent. Anyone that's applying to the post that we have out there, it could be immediate. Reasonably, it's usually more within the first 2 weeks that we can safely start really sourcing, looking at talent, getting them to the table, interested in this particular opportunity. I would say 2 weeks is probably a good time frame, but it certainly has happened a lot sooner, depending on the agency and what they're offering. every job ad, it has a different job offering. It's going to hit different to people that are shopping. Not all jobs are the same. We all know this. No two agencies are really the same, even though it may use the same banner.
And I love, it kind of piggybacking off that, I love, it's a two-way street. You're looking for me, and you're looking for them. And so we have like the perfect marriage, right? But aside from that, like what are some of the advantages? Like I can think of one off the top of my head immediately, but what are some of the advantages of working with a recruiter to do this for you versus doing it on your own?
Yeah, part of on a discovery call, that's a question I'm asking. Why are you reaching out for recruiting services? Because I'm listening for how can I help? And if the answer is I just can't keep up anyone on my team, well, we've all got concerns now, right? If the answer is I just don't have the bandwidth, there's just too many applicants, and I get this a lot. There's just too many people interested. They don't respond back. They say they're going to show up and they don't. There's a lot. It's very time expensive for an
There it is.
agency owner to run a team and to get out to market and try to get through all of these applicants who we all know are not interviewing with one agency, right? They're applying to multiple jobs. And so the a good reason to come to a recruiter is I can personally vouch for saving people so much time. Because by the time I produce a candidate, they've been they've been sourced, vetted, prepped for your job opportunity and what that looks like, and what may interest them. They're already interested. I'm doing the first interview, which should capture all of the major items that you're looking for your next team member. And then it leaves it open for you in 10 minutes to watch a quick 10-minute video. You can do it on the way picking up your kid from camp, and then come back to me and tell me if they want a final interview. It's just that easy. So I'm getting the ball as far down the football field as humanly possible until he goes to the agency owner so they can just simply make a final decision and focus their attention and efforts on onboarding. That's how I save time.
That's huge, a time saver for any business owner or agent. Talk to us a little bit about the mistakes that you see agents making, so we can kind of be aware of this. So they reach out to you and say, like, "I need to hire. I know I need to hire," but then they go through this process. What are some like mistakes or some tips that you prep agents on so they can find a better candidate and fit for their agency?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have seen people really come to the table very excited, very interested. The timeline is yesterday. Let's get this going. And when I send a video, if there's a delay, even a day delay, it doesn't show the engagement and the interest on the part of the agency owner to the candidate that it should. So timing is very important. It can't be a costly mistake. These candidates are interviewing multiple places. No one can help that. It's a free world, and I even personally encourage it. I don't. It don't doesn't matter to me if they're going and finding other job opportunities because I know my opportunities are the best. And so, but I am working very hard to bring them to the table, engaged and interested in the opportunity. And if in the end zone, that end zone where it's time to pull the trigger, the decision maker is taking time, a day, 2 days to even respond and reach out. That's very costly. I've lost candidates over that, and agency owners, their next team member, and it's hard to watch. And we try to mitigate that by really highly encouraging a quick and swift response and decisiveness. We've put a lot of time in now discerning what do you want as an agency. I put a lot of time in with the candidate. What do you want to see in your next job to really set you up for success? By the time the two are meeting, this is what strategy. This is not a volume gate for us to see how many people that we could send you. That doesn't do us any good with our business model. We're just trying to get really strategic and dial in to get it right, ideally, the first time. So moving too slowly is a costly mistake. Another one is moving into the recruiting world without having ever tried it. I would highly encourage that you get used to it, just like Rope mentioned with an existing employee. She knew the person, she could trust the integrity and the work ethic, and she kind of got into the right. You got into the water slowly with someone that you have already developed a relationship with, and you know how much they could produce. So that's probably a good place to start. A costly mistake there can be, Jen, I just bought an agency and I don't know anything about insurance. Just fix it. Just send me some talent. That sends red flags up for me because, you know, we need to make sure that there's a quality long-term longevity position where people know what they're interviewing. Yeah, this is my home. No, there's nothing wrong with startups because people get excited about startups that they could be a part of a winning opportunity. But we do, we want to make sure that you've got the things in place to really watch and grow that new talent. Um,
And that's what I love about you guys so much because you guys really do go above and beyond when it comes to recruiting. You're not just like, here's your employee and thanks and bye and call me if you need another. You guys really are invested in making sure like, okay, if we're going to do business together, I want to know what you want, right? And then how are you going to set yourself apart? What are you going to do for the employee? We want to make both parties happy, right? But sometimes we don't. It's not always love at first sight, right? You send the video, and you watch it. And here's the small tip that I do that I use because when what we do 90% of the time is we're on the phone. So I will look at the video, look at the person, and then put the phone face down. I don't even like what because I know they're nervous too, and I don't want to start focusing on if they're what they're wearing, what they look like. I'm like, how do they sound? Things like that, right? But if I decide, oh, I like this person, I think they fit my culture, I want to interview them, I do move very fast, right? But if I don't like the person and I'm like, oh, Jenny sent them to me and she thinks they'll be great, but I'm not feeling it. What does that look like? I know what, like, we tell our listeners what it looks like.
so it's I don't have a magic wand, but I can make some pretty good, you know, I can do some pretty good matches. I'm proud of myself on the matches that I've made. However, if it's not the match, if there's something that's just off and you're telling me, and you've done this with me, Brooke, Jen, I wasn't feeling it for ABC. Got it. So this feedback that you're providing me is critical. That goes on another one of my lists. It goes in your profile that I've now built out, and it helps me understand. Maybe you just didn't like the fact that they've never done outbound dialing and that's a heavy part of your day. Got it. Because that's going to help me get more strategic on the next, talent that I send you. So feedback is very important. Does that help answer the question? Is there another
Oh
part of
my
that?
God. Yes, 100%. Right? Because and you always ask for feedback. And I think that's so important. Now, why is it that I thought that would be great? Why isn't? Well, because I really want maybe, I don't have telemarketers in my agency and I need someone who's an outbound dollar. If they're working for, a CIC or something like that and an online where it's just inbound, 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 that's a big transition, a huge transition. They're just waiting for the phone to ring and we're like, I'm gonna need you to pick up the phone and call. Right. But if I'm telemarketer in my agency, and I don't really need a whole lot of outbound dialing. I need someone who can pick up the phone and sell it and move to the next. That's great. So it all depends on what you're looking for. So you have to give that feedback to your recruiter. And I love it that you guys asked and you mark it down. And so we have gotten better and better over the years. And I mean, I didn't even need you this year, right? Like I thought I would. I'm like, my girl Jenny, look, I get to see her. That's great because the matches that we've made have been able to stick. And you do a lot of that work on the front end to, make sure, and then and you invest in us too, and making sure going forward that, you
You,
know,
our That's good. Our relationship is probably a really good one to even mention because you have been very clear on your expectations, what you need moving into this sort of recruiting experience. Very clear on what you need. Very clear of what will work and what won't work. And there's, some line items in there. Very clear on the type of culture that you provide. Your retention is very high. And you've provided me feedback. Not the least of that list is you acting quite decisively. Quite quickly, right away. When I send you a video, if it's no, you tell me right away so I don't lose time because someone will find that person a good fit. Very likely, right? So none of us lose time. So it's been a collaboration of give and take where, you really are a good example of how to make that work. The very best it takes two. It's not just one magic agency that helps fill roles, right? It's a collaboration and teamwork.
I think that's so powerful too. And this kind of like leads into what's the biggest, takeaway or advice that you can give an agency owner that's hiring? We could probably use like Brooke for the example. It sounds like she's really got this dialed out. She's clear in her mind before she even talks to you who she's looking for, what she's working for, what her agency culture is, all of that kind of stuff. So, would you say that that's a big piece of advice for someone that's looking to hire in 2026?
Yeah, that's a good piece of advice, knowing what you want going in. And I forgot to mention, I want to mention it here. Another part that you do, Brooke, is you close the deal. I'm basically bringing you a live lead. So, and you want top talent. You're remember, we're not speaking in terms of volume. So I've dialed this in and it's been a very niche market. Once I figure out who's applying, who's interested in the job scope, who's interested in the type of day to day, we're narrowed right into just one or two applicants that really fit the criteria. Then it becomes very urgent to move not only quickly, but know how to close a deal. And you're not, you all, everyone I work with understands sales and closing deals. And so I would really recommend that you keep your eye on what it takes to lock someone in. Engage them with what you have to offer. Be excited about the candidate because this is a people business. And anyone that I send knows that they're just another applicant until they're hired. When you show immediate interest and immediate engagement and follow through, even if you don't hire that person, you've invested, you've built that relationship, and it goes a crazy long way to establishing a healthy partnership moving forward with them on your team. It's really important, not just when they get on your team, but during the interview process. Glad you asked that. It's a great question.
I love that. I love it. Okay, so on the flip side, like what's a common misconception you get a lot
Yeah,
by
it happens at the top of the discovery call when I'm getting to know an agency and I say, "What brings you to the table?" And the answer is, "I just need talent. I just need somebody to start writing right now." Everyone's got heavy demands and requirements, and I really respect. I have a high level of respect for people that run their own agencies. Um, the misconception would be that Jen could just send you talent, he'll start writing. There's so much more involved prior. Some people say they want, high experience in a certain carrier, Allstate, for example. I want a high performer in Allstate. And I say, how much time do you have? Because we have to ask the very important question. Would you rather have someone that writes with Allstate already because you don't have to train them in product and platform? Or do you want somebody that's a little bit stronger in their ability to close deals and they're writing way more business, which is of value? Because the high end everything, let's just say, let's take it off the table. We're not going to, there's no perfect person. It's still a people business. So when people come in, I want to understand what they're looking for, and they need to be educated on what's out there and how they can best accommodate the talent that I bring.
well, and one thing real quick, Casey, because I know you're about to jump in. One thing I wanted to kind of just piggyback off that is, when I first started, and now like my sales manager, he does the interview. Like I watch it, but he does the interview, and I give him the lead on it, right? But in the beginning, he was like, "Well, I think he was looking for that like I mean, he was just looking for the dynamite." I'm like, those dynamite over the top, like 100 producers are being very well cared for by their agent, or they should be. Like my top producers, they're not out there shop. I am taking very good care of them. You're looking for what you're doing is you're digging through all the things for the agents to find that, person that's got the potential, that's got the drive, that's got the coachability, that needs the opportunity, that wants a better opportunity. And so, you have to kind of have them shift to that mindset
Yes.
because if somebody's coming in writing 100 items, a month and this and that, like, well, to me, that's a red flag. Well, why aren't you with your agent? Why you know?
Right.
So, like, there's that misconception. I think people think they're going to just get on there and, like, you're looking for the opportunity. You're looking for that potential. You want to see if that fits your niche and like what you need at your agency and culture.
Those are some of the toughest candidates to work with too, because they do come, very high performing all state, but they're some of the toughest for people to lock in. They really are because they're coming to me already interviewing. By the time I even meet them, they already have multiple interviews going on. And it feels like, it's tough. It's tough to lock them in. So yeah, to your point, that's part of the success rate that I have with the agents. I'm learning what are you bringing to the table to to grow your own sales force, right? What are you bringing to the table in terms of culture, training, And what does that look like? And then I have to think to myself, what is the best kind of person and experience that's going to slide right in and really glean from that? That's truly where we're at. Staffing is not an immediate solution, so you get the next six-figure producer next month. It's really not designed like that. We just fast track you to talent so that you can just start quicker that development educational process.
Such good advice. And I mean, tons of little tokens in there. Where can people find you and connect with you, Jen?
Through our website, um, easily, and I'm sure you can post that. There's a team of us recruiters. It's not just me. There's certainly other people that are uh, equipped and ready to go to work. And it just starts with a phone call to set up the Zoom so we can learn all about you and what you're looking for.
Yeah, insurance teamwork services. There's Jenny, there's Abby, there's Courtney. They have, like she said, there is a team of amazing recruiters that work for insurance teamwork services. I know the owner personally, absolute good friend of mine. He's a genuine guy. He hires genuine people, and they really, as you can tell by everything that Jenny has been sharing, like he really cares about their success and the success and his name and their reputation of the company. They do a really, really good job. So I can't plug them enough. But Jenny, I have to ask you personally, thank you so much, number one, for being on this. I know, like you said, this is not, you don't love this sort of thing. So I appreciate you coming on and putting yourself out there. So with our guests, we end with one final question. So I want to give that question to you. What does being fearless mean to you, Jenny?
Wow, that's a great question. Being fearless means to take the risk and trust that no matter the outcome, you'll know how to get through it. Because all of those things are part of the building blocks that we all value and know in ourselves today. So I would say taking the risk.
I love it. I
Yeah,
love it.
such a great answer. And I love that you mentioned and just trusting yourself too. A big part of like taking that risk is trusting yourself that it's going to work out and you'll get through it. And yeah. Well, thank you for joining us today. And again, for sharing all of the tips. And we appreciate it. We know, like Brooke mentioned, this is not your favorite thing to do. So thank you for being fearless with us today. We appreciate you so much.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate you all.
Thanks for tuning in to Fearless and Focused. Remember, success is not about being perfect. It's about showing up, staying bold, and taking action.
If you love this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use a little inspiration.
Keep chasing your dreams, staying fearless, and keeping your focus strong.
Until the next time, stay
Fearless and focused.